Yeah, hello? Dad, is that you? Alright, looks like we're in there. How we doing? What's going on? It has been a nice week off. But we're back in it. We got some stuff to do this week. Last week there was a announcement from Path of Exile. From Grinding Gear Games about Path of Exile. Regarding their new league. They did the whole trailer plus 20-minute breakdown of everything that's going to be coming in the next league, which starts on Friday, April 7th. Yo, Alec, what's up? How we doing? Good to see you. Mr. Wilucco, Mr. Daggum himself. How y'all doing? I totally meant to do this while it was live, but I slept through the announcement when it was live. So, this is the next best thing. I've kept myself mostly away from spoilers. I just know there's been a lot of complaining. Something about being in Crafting League, but the name kind of gives that away. I know the name clearly. It's like right there. Haven't watched this yet? Me neither, Alec. How about that? So, we're going to start by watching the trailer. And we'll watch the 25-minute thing. I'm just going to react, I guess. And I'll probably make a video about patch notes. I won't do the thing that every Path of Exile creator does, where I sit in front of the patch note page for 3 hours talking about it. We'll do like a short thing. I have not watched Will Watch It yet. Well, you came to the right place for that. So, yeah, I feel like I had something else I needed to say before I started. But, yeah, I don't remember what it was. So we're just gonna watch it. Okay, sounds good to me, boss.
Hail.
Hail.
One of many.
What the hell?
Eons ago, my kind walked the molten surface of
Sir, how
this
much
world.
distortion is on your voice right now?
Now, we seek a champion.
I want that statue in my house, not gonna lie.
You must endure the heat of the Crucible.
Thought he said enjoy for a moment. Guess it would be nice to apply.
To forge weapons unlike any Rayclast has ever seen.
I did see screenshots of this, but I'm very excited to see what the skill trees actually are for each weapon. Wait, is that
Take up the power.
that's just an
of the
extra support you can just put on your weapon? Nice.
and bring obliteration.
Seems kind of insane. He's looking at me from 9 new Valve skills. The game already peaked with Valve Flicker Strike. Ice Arrow, I did see. Yeah, they're reworking Abyss. I thought they just reworked Breach like 1 league ago. Yo, we got wormholes on the path. The Atlas tree? Let's go. Pathfinder. Okay. Saboteur. What about the real question is, did they nerf? What's the build? You know, the chaos build that everyone plays all the time. ED Contagion. It's been too long since I played this damn game, if I can't remember that build. Interesting. Casual 7-link weapons, by the way. Just everywhere. I wonder if every weapon
In
is gonna
Path
have
of
a skill
Exile
tree.
Crucible, you'll learn about an ancient race of titans who once shaped the primordial surface of Rayclast. In this league, you will earn the ability to forge their power onto your weapons. And what form does that power take? In an iconically
That's a good
Path
question,
of Exile
Chris.
way, it's the ability to imbue your weapons with their own passive skill trees. These Crucible trees can have quite an impact on your character build. For example, in addition to the
don't know,
regular
Amphax.
mods on this bow, its
They
Crucible
can nerf
tree
that too.
grants additional
They should.
physical damage, physical to chaos conversion, the Master Fletcher notable passive, improved grace effect, and level 10 lesser multiple projectiles. While this is
Even
certainly a
Contagion was
decent
what I
tree
was
to
thinking
get,
about.
it's not even the maximum depth and could be even more optimized for your build.
We can go deeper.
In order to forge these powerful trees onto your weapons, you'll need to complete Crucible encounters. There's one in each area. Each encounter takes place at a Crucible forge. As you approach the forge, you'll have the choice of which of your equipped weapons you want to focus on. This can include ones on your alternate weapon swap if you want to improve one you're not currently using.
Okay, okay.
After selecting a weapon, you channel it at the Crucible Forge to spawn monsters. The longer you channel for, the more dangerous and rewarding the encounter becomes. As you spawn
just
additional
yeet
monsters,
entire
they
trees at
combine
once?
together to create larger and more fearsome foes that grant even more experience for your Crucible passive tree. Being able to ramp up the difficulty of the encounters is a double-edged sword. While it gives you the opportunity to make rapid progress on your Crucible weapon crafting projects, it comes with significant risk to your character. It's easy to accidentally overwhelm yourself and make an encounter that is too dangerous.
Just
Channel
don't get hit
carefully
for
and
it.
adapt to what your character is capable of. When you first find a weapon, it doesn't have a Crucible tree unlocked. Channeling that weapon at Crucible encounters will unlock and reveal its tree, as well as allocating the first skill. You can only allocate one skill at each tree depth, so you'll need to decide which path through the tree is best for your build. As you get deeper into a tree, more and more experience is required to unlock skills.
I do like
the
that
final
little UI
depths
on
can
the
take
tooltip.
quite an investment and can only be found rarely on endgame items, but also have some of the most powerful properties. For example, this wand has 2 depth 5 skills to choose from. One of them allows all damage from your Freezing Pulse and Eye of Winter skills to poison, and the other
Strange.
allows various brands to be attached to your Summoned Reaper. There
Also
are many
very
such
weird.
modifiers to skills that will enable very interesting
That
build
could be fun.
combinations. In addition to all types of weapons, shields can also be empowered with their own Crucible trees. Here's a relatively simple low-level example. It gets a bit crazier as you approach the endgame. Speaking of the endgame, in endgame Crucible encounters, you'll occasionally find igneous geodes, currency items
Such
that
a
can be
good
cracked
word.
open to reveal a primeval
Igneous.
remnant. This is a map-like item that grants access to the Forge of the Titans, the culmination of your Crucible journey. These primeval remnants always generate as rare items. Half of their mods are upsides and half are downsides. The upsides generally increase the rewards of the area or add special crafting options.
Players
For
cannot
example,
suppress,
causing
that's
monsters to
awful.
drop divination cards or magmatic ore, a form of tradable itemized Crucible tree experience. The downsides are quite punitive compared to most endgame maps.
There goes half your defense.
Ideally, you want to find a primeval remnant that is really rewarding upsides alongside downsides you can handle. If you don't think you'll survive a visit to the Forge of the Titans, trade the remnant away to someone else and gamble on cracking open another geode. If you survive and manage to reach the end of the area, you'll find the aforementioned Forge, which allows you to merge Crucible trees on 2 items together. The way this
Do they
process
add
works
up?
is that you provide 2 items of the same class. For example, a pair of bows, a pair of shields, or a pair of one-hand axes. One of these items
could
will
have
be
said
melted
one-hand
down and
swords.
applied to the other, which will keep its regular properties. Their Crucible trees will be merged together in an unpredictable way, taking elements of each one. This is a little reminiscent of how recombinators applied to item mods, taking parts of each Crucible tree and merging
Alright,
them
Chris,
together,
that's fan
as well as
service.
randomly upgrading, downgrading, or mutating skills on the resultant tree. While this process can
They could've
create
just
some
given us
really powerful
recombinators
trees
back.
if you get skills you wanted from both items, it can also completely wreck your precious trees, so take care choosing which you risk combining.
Ah yes, a level 1 fork, that's just what I wanted.
Also, like recombinators, there are ways to manipulate the system to improve your odds at getting certain outcomes. For example, any skills that have been allocated are more likely to show up in the resultant Crucible tree.
Just give us recombinators, Chris. That's all we want.
By default, you can only add Crucible trees to non-unique items, but it's possible to get a mod on the Forge of the Titans map that allows you to imbue a unique item with a Crucible tree, which can then be leveled up via regular Crucible encounters. To combine Crucible trees on unique items together, you'll want to find a crystalline geode and crack it open to reveal the secret higher level version of the Forge of the Titans. I probably shouldn't say too much about it, but it will let you do some interesting things with Crucible trees. There's an important thing to note
Okay,
about
okay.
Crucible trees on unique weapons. In addition to being much harder to unlock, there's a special rule about how they can be combined. A unique weapon must be combined with another copy of the same unique weapon to merge their trees together.
That makes sense.
Because this destroys one copy, getting a good Crucible tree on a unique weapon makes it insanely valuable. It may also raise the trade value of all unique weapons by quite a lot, as players sacrifice them trying to create perfect Crucible trees. Occasionally, you'll find a Crucible passive skill tree with a special skill that indicates that the item will sell to vendors for a specific item in addition to its regular sale price. These vendor skills usually occur relatively deeply in the tree, so take some effort to allocate, but usually
that would
don't
be
block
nice.
skill choices you'd make when leveling the item up for use. The presence of these skills presents you with an interesting choice about whether you want to use the item or sell it to a vendor, and whether you want to spend your Crucible experience either revealing new trees to hunt for good skills, leveling up items to use, or leveling up items to sell.
I actually
Crucible
think that's a really good thing because I was kind of wondering what happens since they only go like 5 deep. Like, what happens when you finish your weapon? Like, are you just done with and doing the league mechanic? So adding that sell price thing is like super interesting, I think.
Items you can earn. For example, El Abin's Visage, a unique helmet, is special in that it's the only armor piece other than shields that can receive Crucible passive skill trees. Wearing it allows you to double down on certain properties that are only available through these trees. There are several other unique items exclusive to Crucible for you to discover in this league. Crucible is a dual combat crafting league with a focus on encounter difficulty scaling and deep weapon customization with a power level that we have never seen before. Without a doubt, some of Path of Exile's most powerful weapons will be forged in Crucible. We can't wait to see what you manage to create. Like all recent Path of Exile expansions, Crucible includes a lot of changes with the goal of improving Path of Exile's endgame. One area we wanted to address was mobility on the Atlas passive tree. Often, you'll find yourself in a situation where you want to specialize in leagues that are on entirely different sides of the Atlas tree. Or maybe you want to focus on the type of altar that isn't near the leagues you have picked. To solve this, Path of Exile Crucible introduces
Give me the
Atlas
wormholes.
gateways. These are nodes that you can allocate on the Atlas tree that allow instant travel between 2 locations. There are 3 pairs of gateways, each allowing travel from the left side of the tree to the right side or vice versa. Each end of the gateway consumes 1 Atlas skill point to allocate, but will potentially save you large amounts of travel points.
Give that to us on the real skill tree, you
In this
cowards.
expansion, we're targeting a couple of endgame leagues that have fallen behind other leagues on the Atlas tree. Let's start with Breach.
I feel like
In
this is the
live
3rd
version of
time
Path
they've
of
hit
Exile,
Breach
there are 5
in
tiers
like
of
5
Breach
leagues.
Stone. In Path of Exile Crucible, we're raising the area levels of Breach Stones to a much higher baseline level. 81 for elemental ones, 82 for physical, and 83 for chaos. Now that the regular Breach Stones are much higher level, we have retired charged, enriched, and pure Breach Stones. They will be converted to regular ones. We have also changed how flawless Breach Stones are acquired. Previously, you could only get them from Maven invitations, but we prefer access to the hardest Breach content to actually come from playing Breach. Now there are 2 ways to get flawless Breach Stones, through blessings, which are now rarer as a result, and through a skill on the Atlas tree. We've also improved the pacing of Breach encounters. Previously, Breaches felt pretty good early on, but quickly tapered off in density to the point where you wanted to abandon the Breach because it just felt like not enough monsters were spawning. Our changes now keep Breaches feeling dense throughout, leaning more on the side of it feeling overwhelming towards the end of the Breach. We have also reduced the duration of Breaches so there is constant monster pressure and you can get on with your mapping sooner. There are a whole bunch of other Breach changes that you can...
I'm excited about that. However, like I said, this is like the 5th time I've heard them say they're going to make Breaches like super thick. Since Synthesis, they've probably said it like every other league, but let's hope it actually is, it sticks this time.
Read about in the patch notes, such as changes to the Betrayal Research Safe House, Breach Scarabs, Breach Stones from Kirik missions, the Breach Harvest crafting option, the Fragment Stash tab, Divination cards, Breach unique items, Atlas passives, and so on.
And
We're
so
also
on.
revamping Abyss in a similar way.
Thank
Abyssal
God.
Depths now always contain an Abyssal Lich. Previously, the prevailing gameplay was to check the loading screen art of an Abyssal Depths to see if it contained a Lich, and bail out if it didn't. Now, the depths always contain a Lich, removing the need for this step. While the rate of encountering Abyssal Liches is unchanged, Abyssal Depths are rarer than before. However, Abysses now have a chance to spawn a Stygian Spire in place of their reward chest, which will drop all of the jewels and other items you'd normally receive, as well as a Stygian Vice. In addition, you're guaranteed to always get a 4-hole Abyss alongside your Abyssal Depths. Previously, Abyssal
instead of
Depths could
1.
only
Nice.
spawn immediately after a single Abyssal Hole, which prevented you from getting full value from the Abyss. The Lightless Legion notable passive has been replaced with a new skill which grants Stygian Spires in your maps drop items with +1 to item level. This is intended to allow players to continue to be able to obtain item level 86 Stygian Vices and other base types as a reward for specializing in Abyss. The small passives leading up to this notable passive have also been replaced. We've done a balanced pass on Abyssal Lich encounters to make them more appropriately difficult relative to the current standard of endgame encounters. Abyss uniques have had some balance attention also, and the details are in the patch notes. Overall, these changes should ensure you can play a wider variety of leagues in the endgame, both through being able to access them more easily and because Breach and Abyss now feel far more modern and competitive with other popular league content.
Kind of wish they would like guarantee that the paths between things were shorter
is to
too.
provide
That
a
would be
lot
really
of new
nice.
ways to build characters and to breathe new life into older builds. To achieve this, we're doing 2
Oh, hi,
things.
Chris.
Firstly, we have created many more interesting options for one of Path of Exile's core build systems, the passive skill tree, by overhauling many of its masteries. Secondly, we have revamped 2 specific ascendancy classes. As we reviewed the masteries on Path of Exile's passive skill tree, we realized that a lot of the choices were rather bland and could be a lot more exciting. We went through the masteries one by one and tried to come up with as many interesting stats as we could, ignoring what was currently there. Once we had a short list of high quality stats, we added in the existing ones that used to be on each mastery and picked the 6 best. All of the leftover ones have been saved for later or used in places like unique items. This process was performed on approximately half of the masteries on the tree, initially targeting the ones that needed the attention the most. Previously, some masteries only had 4 options, so we've tried to increase as many as possible to 6 options. We've also added a couple of new mastery types that we felt were missing. Let's look at an example, the life mastery choices. You can see some of the interesting new options, such as the ability to manipulate your low life and full life thresholds, which allows you to more effectively use the damage while on full life support gem and many unique items.
The only one of these I'd heard about before was the 10% more maximum life if you have at least 6 life masteries located. And people are like super hyping over 10% more instead of increased. But the counterpoint to that is you have to do 6 life wheels and take all of the masteries. So it's like, that's a lot of investment. So you actually will have to do, you'll have to do all of this, and like, the odds of you actually using all of that is probably not the highest. Like, how many people are going to just not put life on their chest piece? Or like if you're using a unique that like enables your build, you can't, and it has a life modifier on it, you can't do that. So this is like an entirely wasted point. So I don't. Wait, skills cost life instead of 30% of mana cost. That's a really weird wording, and I have no idea what that means. But anyways, yeah, I don't know if I'll bother taking that. The whole
getting a large increase
thing.
to maximum life when you have no life on your body armor not only works really well with a whole lot of unique items, but also opens up new prefix composition options for rare body armors. Here you can see the armor and energy shield mastery has more options available than before. The other thing we focused on with this one is tying the mechanics together better. Instead of some being about armor and some being about energy shield, we've tried to make sure each really emphasizes having both armor and energy shield.
Yeah, that makes sense.
On the Leech Mastery, we've combined the 3 increased life mana and energy shield recovery stats into one choice that affects all of them. The space we've freed up has been used to add some powerful new options, such as a portion of your Leech applying instantly.
Handy.
The Spell Suppression Mastery also has many interesting options. Your chance to suppress spell damage becoming lucky is extremely useful before you've optimized your gear and haven't reached 100% yet.
Didn't they just do a bunch of shit to remove lucky modifiers from stuff? Like, isn't that the reason we don't have lucky crits on diamond flasks anymore? Because they thought that kind of thing was too strong.
Third option rewards you for stacking more than 100% spell suppression, which previously had few benefits. Now it's something you can plan your itemization around. While looking at masteries, we noted that there were some mechanics that didn't have enough passive tree support, so we decided to add some more options and passive skill choices for those mechanics. We also wanted to grant more access to certain types of masteries in specific parts of the passive skill tree. For example, in order to allow more access to the attack mastery, we've added an attack cluster by the Templar and one between the Ranger and Shadow. We wanted to create more access to other forms of recovery such as regen and recoup, so we've added some new passive skill clusters. Note that there is now a new mastery called Recovery. We've also added more capacity for investment in certain mechanics that we felt could be improved, such as link skills, stun mitigation, and marks. These mastery improvements and passive tree changes are just some of the ones introduced in Path of Exile Crucible. We look forward to your feedback on the rest when you check out the passive skill tree next week.
They have life gain on hit just on the tree now.
While going through ascendancy classes, we identified 2 that needed work, the Saboteur and the Pathfinder. Both have been significantly changed in Path of Exile Crucible. These changes reinforce their respective identities while adding some new options to build around. The Saboteur is definitely the ascendancy class most aligned with traps and mines, but the old version of the Saboteur made it difficult to play anything but traps or mines. The new version has more builds available, including a whole new specialization, Triggers. There are 2 notable passives that help with this. Like Clockwork grants you the increased cooldown recovery rate stat, which is a pretty rare one. This is great for triggered spells as it indirectly increases their damage. This notable also makes your enemies have longer cooldowns, which can be useful in certain boss fights, for example causing the Maven's memory game to occur less often.
Damn.
The perfect crime notable passive
kind of
summons
insane.
2 trigger bots, which override the location of where a triggered spell is being cast, and instead causes it to trigger twice, once from each of their locations. The layout for the Saboteur's Trap and Mine Ascendancy passives has changed, so that there aren't separate 4-pointers for traps and mines. Now each one has a 2-pointer that is connected to the same shared 4-pointer. We have also completely reworked Bomb Specialist to be specifically tied to area damage, so it's a slightly more general skill. It both gives you some area damage as well as some defense against incoming area damage against you. The Pathfinder has been overdue for some attention, especially with recent features such as concoction skills that she could get the ability to specialize in. We also wanted the Flask-themed Ascendancy to have a proactive way of improving Life Flask usage. Master Distiller allows you to turn most of your skills into concoction-like effects. Master Surgeon now effectively gives all of your Life Flasks the Enduring effect, previously only found on Mana Flasks. Finally, both of the major Flask-themed branches now have some form of Flask Charge recovery.
I don't know,
There
man.
are other
Enduring life
improvements to the
flasks sound
Pathfinder
like fun.
Ascendancy, such as Nature's Reprisal, now interacting with Wither to improve all forms of your chaos damage, rather than just attack forms of it. Check out the full details in the patch notes that we'll be posting after the livestream. Path of Exile Crucible introduces 9 new Val skills. Last expansion, there was an emphasis on melee Val skills. In Crucible, we're making
still
sure
need to
that
try
many
Val
other
Flicker
types of
Shake.
builds get new skills to build around. Val skills let us introduce quite powerful effects that we couldn't normally give to a regular skill that can be used constantly. They also implicitly act as a buff to the underlying skill. Val Absolution upgrades one of your Sentinels of Absolution into an Apparition of Innocence.
That's great.
You can only
Just
have one
summon
apparition
God,
at once,
thanks.
but just check out these massive AoE skills it uses.
Damn, that's insane.
Val Arctic Armor instantly encases you in ice, preventing non-instant actions including movement, but granting massive damage reduction against hits.
Seems
After a
kind of
short
painful.
duration,
not
it
gonna
also
lie.
starts to regenerate your energy shield and mana at a fast rate. Both the damage reduction and regeneration last for a few seconds, or until you have been hit 3 times. It cannot be manually cancelled. Because the skill is instant, it's a great emergency button against dangerous boss slams. It also makes you count as being frozen, despite Arctic Armor normally making you freeze immune. Having another way to self-freeze may be of interest to a few mad scientist build creators in the community.
Violent.
Val Lightning Arrow fires a barrage of piercing projectiles that cause lightning to strike nearby targets whenever they hit an enemy. After a short amount of time, or when they collide with terrain, the arrows randomly change direction and continue flying. This occurs a number of times before the arrows expire. Each arrow can hit the same target once per redirect. Because the arrows travel for a set time before redirecting, rather than a set distance, projectile speed modifiers affect the distance traveled. High projectile speed lets you clear out huge areas with them, while reducing
That
your
looks
projectile
insane.
speed increases the chance of them hitting the same target multiple times. With very low projectile speed, the skill can hit a single target 20 plus times. Val Reap conjures a ring of scythes that deal damage to all enemies in a circular area. The scythes leave behind a pool of blood that deals heavy physical damage over time to enemies standing in it, and for a short duration after they leave it. Val Reap instantly grants a large number of the blood charges used by normal Reap on use, as well as temporarily higher maximum blood charge capacity, substantially powering up the regular version of the skill. Path of Exile Crucible introduces 5 other Val skills we'll reveal over the next week: Val Animate Weapon, Val Domination, Val Ice Shot, Val Rejuvenation Totem, and Val Firestorm.
I think they just
This
announced
expansion also introduces more
animate
than
weapon.
10 new unique items. There are 3 in particular I'd like to show you today. Blood
Oh.
Price is a unique helmet that has a new effect, reserving enemy maximum life. This does exactly what it implies, causing
okay.
nearby enemies to start at 92% maximum life. While this increases your clear speed against all enemies, it's especially useful against bosses. The helmet's drawback is that it reduces your maximum life, but provides decent life regeneration and block and stun recovery to counteract this. Tainted Pact is an amulet that causes chaos damage over time to heal you while you're leeching life. While the amulet provides a decent amount of life leech itself, it'll certainly require a few tricks to unlock its
Damn.
full potential. Widow Hail is a unique bow that is different from any other bow in Path of Exile. As a weapon, it does basically no base damage and doesn't grant any stats of its own, but it does dramatically increase the power of mods provided by your quiver. Needless to say, this could produce some pretty ridiculous outcomes with good rare or unique quivers. We'll reveal some of the other new uniques over.
Can you, I wonder how that'll be if you can put crucible trees on quivers, but I don't think they count as weapons. I think you can only put them on shields for your offhand.
The coming week. Ruthless is a game mode that we released alongside the Sanctum expansion late last year. It's designed around extreme item scarcity and is challenging because you're constantly behind the item power curve. So far, it has found a very passionate audience of players who love how rewarding item drops feel in such an austere environment. We have some small improvements to Ruthless and Path of Exile Crucible. Firstly, Eternal Orbs are back in Ruthless. These are an extremely powerful currency item that allows you to imprint an item and restore it if you're unhappy with the result of crafting. We disabled these game-wide 7 years ago because they were far too powerful when combined with all of the different crafting options Path of Exile offered at the time. Ruthless does not have the base game's crafting feature set, so we have enabled Eternal Orbs to drop in Ruthless, albeit extremely rarely. Ruthless now has its own set of challenges to complete. Like the ones in early Path of Exile, there are a total of 8, and they're very difficult. Like we've done in the past, we're hosting a boss kill event at the start of the Crucible Challenge League. It'll be held in Ruthless Hardcore Solo Self-Found and will require you to kill both the Uber Searing Exarch and the Uber Eater of Worlds, making it by far the hardest event we have ever run. The first place winner will get to work with our design team to add in new unique items to Path of Exile. They'll also receive a transferable Ultra VIP ticket to ExileCon in July. If they aren't able to attend or already have a ticket, then they are allowed to sell this one as they see fit. Second and third place finishers will receive a transferable VIP ticket to ExileCon that can also be sold at their discretion. If you'd like to enter the event, just create a character in Ruthless Hardcore Solo Self-Found on launch day. Best of luck to everyone.
Oh, that's where the boss kill event is. Damn.
On the weekend of July 29 to 30 New Zealand time, which is July 28 to 29 for much of the rest of the world, we're going to be hosting ExileCon 2023 in Auckland, New Zealand. While tickets to the in-person event are very hard to get, we'll be streaming the entire event for free. At ExileCon, we'll reveal our latest updates on Path of Exile 2, Path of Exile Mobile, and the next Path of Exile 1 expansion. Make a note in your calendar, tell your friends, and don't miss it. The second day of the Path of Exile livestream culminates in a competitive race event between some of Path of Exile's best players. In order to select the 4 competitors, we're going to run qualifier events during the months of April and May. The winner of each event will receive a VIP ExileCon ticket, return flights to Auckland and accommodation, and will compete in the race event live on stage. All 4 qualifiers in the final event will be run on the 3.21 version of Path of Exile, which has received a fair amount of early game balance work that will change the racing meta quite a lot. You'll be able to read more in the patch notes.
Forgot Tai got that damn tabby in Path of Exile.
You'll be able to solve the new meta, practice hard, compete in the qualifier events, and hopefully win your place on stage in July. Alongside Path of Exile Crucible, we're introducing a few new types of microtransactions.
Oh boy, the good stuff.
An example I wanted to describe today is that of mannequins. These are hideout decorations that you can place to show off sets of microtransactions you have assembled. You can equip them with your spare micros and pose them in various ways. It's also possible to swap your entire outfit with a mannequin's one, which lets you easily store micro sets to be retrieved later. Other new microtransactions
also going to sell like hotcakes, I already know.
Which lets you gift wrap items to hand to other players, or even drop in town for random people to pick up. Today we're launching 2 new series of supporter packs, the Lithomancer and Enchanter packs. Each tier contains the pack's full face value and points, alongside several exclusive microtransactions. These packs are only available for the duration of the Crucible League, and will leave the store forever when it ends. As always, the microtransactions in these packs are purely cosmetic and do not affect your character's power or progression in any way. The Lithomancer series of supporter packs contains 6 exclusive
and you get a bear?
microtransactions.
Oh shit.
The Tunnel Bear isn't just adorable, he will also take the place of the Crawler in Delves, lighting your surroundings and laying down cables.
That's perfect.
Apparently, this is what happens when your bear gets into a kilo of sulfite. Might explain what happened to
cocaine
Nico.
bear. Nice.
The Ring of the Demon Slayer attempts to exorcise rare and unique demons when you hit them. The souls of defeated demons are banished to the depths below. The ancient
that armor's so sick too.
Armor set crumbles when you take damage, revealing the crimson core inside.
It's like a hentai fighting game.
If you haven't taken damage recently. A sip from the ancestral granite flask causes a Karui ancestor to appear and surround you in protective wards. The ancestral portal encases you in molten armor when you travel through it.
Talamoana, warrior.
The summoned Karui ancestor rallies you to battle and honestly seems to have an unhealthy obsession with combat.
Go forth and conquer.
Ever want to practice running away from volatiles? The gunpowder foot attachment straps explosives to your legs, dispersing lit gunpowder behind you. Be careful, you can only outrun it for so long before it catches up.
Nice, nice.
The Enchanter Pack
I thought it
series
would kill
also
you.
has
I was
6
kinda hoping it
exclusive
would a little bit.
microtransactions. The Path of Exile pet parrots your exile. We'll just let it speak for itself.
It would be wrong to do that here.
Wrong. I need more mana.
How the fuck could they add a parrot and not a toucan? What the hell, Chris?
Drinking from the bottled storm jade flask encases you in a surging tornado, churning up the ground in your wake.
Yeah, that one's kind of
If
mid.
you stand perfectly still while wearing the enchanted armor set, it will attract butterflies to flutter around you. Be careful not to disturb them. Sick of high-fiving giant purple appendages? The
Hey, yo.
Ritualist's Breach Ring visually transforms breaches you find into occult summoning circles.
That's definitely just a delirium.
The Enchanter's
Skin
crafting
for
bench
Breach.
replaces the normal crafting bench in your hideout with a suite of tools fit for a master artisan. The various crafting stations burst into life as you use them. If you've ever wanted to remind your character who's really in charge, the Puppeteer's back attachment has you covered.
That's
It
the
truly
perfect
is
framing
the
for that.
sinister presence pulling the strings. These new packs are available right now at
Right now?
pathofexile.com/purchase.
Well.
Purchases like these directly fund the ongoing development of Path of Exile 1 and 2. Meanwhile, the Forge and Gemling packs leave the store forever at the launch of the Crucible League, so now's your last chance to purchase them. Thank you for your continued support.
Excuse me, so sorry. Dear goodness, that was a lot. So, I don't know why everyone was, or why, I guess everyone was upset. I don't know that everyone was upset. I just know, after this announcement, Ziz was talking about being annoyed with Ruthless or something, but like, I don't think it's a horrible thing that they get, Eternal Orbs and Ruthless. I get being annoyed that the boss kill event is hardcore solo self-found Ruthless, but, you know, maybe that'll just, maybe that'll just let someone else win who's not like, I don't know, one of the normal 3 suspects, 5 suspects. I can't even think of their names, but I know it's the same people all the time. So, so far I'm interested. I'm not like, I don't know if I'd say I'm as hyped for it as I was for like Sanctum, because the idea of Sanctum was very cool. But this is interesting nonetheless, and I'm curious to see how it plays out and how it feels, especially compared to Recombinators, because that's kind of what they're going for. It seems like just a different form of Recombinators. Yeah, I guess we'll see how it is. I think tomorrow or the next day I'm gonna try and put out a video about the patch notes. I won't be reading the whole thing, like word for word, like most people do. I'll probably just give a like a overview, broad strokes, hit the finer points, you know. And yeah, the Friday when it releases, I think it's Friday. Did he say? New supporter packs. What day does it release, Christopher? Find out more. April 7th, available on PC. Yeah, that is Friday. So, look forward to that stream. Hopefully we don't have queue issues or anything like that. I'll probably make more videos when it comes out. I was thinking of making a, like, how to make a league starter video, where I'll go through the process of making my own league starter for this league once they put out the path building stuff. And yeah, just use that as an example of a way to make a league starter. Not that I'm like a huge build guy. I usually make my own, and they're not that great, but most of the time they work. And I think like most newer players could benefit from that kind of information if they don't want to follow like some super mathed out like build guide from one of the bigger creators. So, that said, I'm interested. I'm excited. Curious to see how it's going to play out. So we'll probably play for at least 3 weeks or so. And yeah, and give it the old college try. So look forward to that. But that's where we're going to end it here. I appreciate you watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you didn't and you're looking forward to League and you want to hang out on League launch or in the days afterwards, Weapon Passes got you hype. Hell yeah, dude. Should be exciting. But like I said, if you want to hang out while we're live on League launch day or in the days after, I will talk to you then. Make sure you yeet that like button, dab on that subscribe button. Hades, hope you're doing well. Sorry to leave the moment you get here, but yeah, that's it. Bye-bye.